Welcome to Corks Conversation with Tracy Clark.
Yes, we first met, Kathy. Remember, we met Tracy at, first of all, I got to tell you, she's a two-time Sue-Grafton Memorial Award winner, and that's amazing. And
It
she was at
is.
Sleuthfest 2022 as one of the guest faculty. So we met her there, and at the conference, we did hear what I believe was an early clip of her book Hide that came out in January of this year when we were at the Noir at the bar. And it's a hard boiled, page turning thriller featuring Chicago police detective Harriet Foster, a black woman in a male dominated department who must navigate a difficult relationship with a new partner as she hunts a killer stalking red haired women while still mourning the death of her longtime former partner.
Okay, I love that Tracy just like put her hands together like um,
Creepy.
it
The
is
evil, the
creepy.
evil hand.
But you're right. I remember you and I had just arrived at Sleuthfest, and Noir at the bar was in full swing, and we kind of slid into a very heavily attended room, and Tracy was. This is all mystery writers, okay? And we'll get to Noir at the bar here in a little bit. But the room was packed, and Tracy was reading from her new novel. And Christy, I know you and I both remember this. People were gasping at the end of her selection. All mystery writers were gasping. Like, you could just hear the room go, oh.
I know, right?
And so, anyway, Tracy, we're just delighted that you're here, and we can't wait to talk to you about your new book.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yay!
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to get right to it. And like Kathy said, that clip was memorable because it went really dark after sucking us in with this like quaint childhood memory.
Really sweet
And
story.
and so the question is, why do you think we're drawn to dark stories for entertainment, and how do you deliver in your books?
I don't know what the fascination is. I think maybe if we scare ourselves, we won't get scared from other things out there. I'm not sure what it is, but I kind of enjoyed the scary part of it. That was my first sort of time sort of getting into the really creepy, eerie, sort of dark sort of mindset. And it was, I have to admit, it was kind of fun. It was kind of
Yeah.
fun to sort of get into that sort of creepy, maladjusted sort of a head and to sort of see where it goes. I've been writing the PI things, and those are kind of light and breezy, and so she's sort of a snarky character and loosey goosey and sort of things. And this is sort of, into the mind of a really sort of demented brain, and to sort of see where that goes and what the path they take, how they started, and it's kind of cool. I kind of liked it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I might
Now, do
revisit
you
it.
do
We'll
anything
see.
to get in the mood, or
Nope, I
I
just sort of sat down and
I just am in that mood.
I just sit down. This is my job. This is my thing. This is
yeah.
the book, and I just sort of sit down and sort of go where it goes. I don't have an outline. I don't have a roadmap. I just have characters. Always start with characters, and when I sort of put that killer or there, then I just sort of go where they go and sort of think how they think and sort of react how they react.
Kathy and I are both writers too. And so my work in progress that I'm editing right now has a serial killer. And I tell you what, those are the funnest chapters to write.
I know, right?
I don't know why too. And it is like, oh man, I am really getting creepy dark here. What part of my brain am I tapping into? But it was fun. And then sometimes I did like put on the creepy music that the killer might listen to or
Oh,
something.
really?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Cause I was just like, oh, I want to get in the mood, and it'd be like, all right, here I go.
I don't know what that says about writers. We just sort of go where their characters are. So,
Mhm.
we go dark, we go light, we go everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And I love that you said that character is it. Like, character is what. So, and you have written a long time series that's beloved. And so this was a big change for you to go into this new detective Harriet Foster.
Mhm.
So where did Harriet come from? Like, where did that happen?
I sort of started looking for her halfway through the other book, because I needed a new cast. I knew I was going to be moving away from that, and I
Mhm.
needed a whole new people. I need people. And Harriet was kind of slow coming, and I still don't think that I've completely had her. because she does not talk to me, or she didn't initially. So I had to sort of dig, take a little pickaxe, little writer thing, and sort of pick away at the rock to try to figure out who she was, what motivated her. When we meet her in Hyde, she's standing on the sidewalk in front of the police station, and she is not quite sure whether or not she's up to going in. This is a new position, a new boss, a new team, a new partner. And she's got a choice to make, whether she goes in and does what she knows how to do, or whether she goes somewhere else and figures out what her life is going to be. But she goes in, and I give her the worst possible case I could possibly give her, on top of all the other stuff that I've given her, which has sort of planted her on the sidewalk. And so I just sort of pile things on, because I think that's how you sort of figure out who characters are, what they do with all the baggage and the flaws and all the drama that we give them. What do they do? Do they rise, or do they fall? Do they move forward, or do they move backward? Harriet is sort of forced to move forward, only because that's her job. That's what she's got to do. And she's brilliant while she's doing it. And when she goes home and takes that gun and that badge off, she's stuck. And so that's the character that she is in Hyde. I will probably move her a little bit further in the second book, which is entitled Fall. And if other books come after that, she's going to have to change. She's going to have to grow. She's going to have to learn something. So she's in stasis when we meet her. And, hopefully, knock wood, she'll learn some stuff and sort of move forward.
I'm looking forward to book 2.
I am too. We interviewed you and Tori last year at Sleuthfest, which was so fun.
It was fun.
Wasn't that fun?
It's always good doing it with a pal that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really fun.
Like Costello.
Yeah, that was great. I was thinking that this was a standalone to begin with. Am I wrong?
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be my first standalone. And I sort of agonized over it, and I put everything I had in there. This is going to be my first standalone. I'm looking forward to it. And I handed it in, and they liked it. Great, wonderful. And then they wanted the same characters again. So now I'm in the series world again, which is a good problem to have. I'm not knocking it. Yeah. It's just that, I'm in the Harriet Foster series now, and they just asked for a third book. And hopefully I can get that one done. Yeah.
They're pulling you back in.
I know. Just when you think you're out.
Look, there was some things that I was like, oh, this could be something you could explore in the future. So,
I love that you two are both writing such creepy, the villain and that dark side. And when you first were talking, Tracy, about, what it is with that dark side, I remember a long time ago, I read an essay by Stephen King, and he was talking about why it is that we like to tap into that dark side of us so that we can kind of, it's been a long time since I've read this, and I haven't thought about it, but I think his concept was, you safely tap into that really dark side so that when scary things do come, you're like, oh no, it's not as bad as that, And I thought that was interesting.
Well, he should know.
He would.
Yeah.
Wicked clowns and everything. God,
if anyone would.
He should know.
So let's talk about Noir at the bar, you guys, for a second. So for our listeners who don't know, Tracy, do you want to give them the skinny on what Noir at the bar is?
Well, it's just a bunch of writers getting together and drinking and reading pages from their work. And that's what I did in Sleuthfest, down at Sleuthfest. I read the prologue that the publisher sort of cut out after the fact, but I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. And so that's what I chose to read. It didn't make the book. They said it sort of put off sort of meeting Harriet too far, so too deep into the book before we actually got to Harriet. So after the fact, I could sort of see their point of view, but I kind of like that opening because it sort of sets everything else up. But they know more than I do.
Yeah.
But still here, I still have it. I never throw anything away. But
I was just going to say that can be saved.
It's going to be saved.
It's interesting because I'm sort of ambivalent. I think Cathi is too about the Noir at the bar, because the times we've gone to different events where they've had it, either one, it's too late for us because we're early to bed people, or like in that case, we got there and it was already full. But I think I like the idea of it if I ever got there early enough to get a seat and just relax and listen, because I think it is fun. I think it is fun to hear little bits of the book and, just be relaxed about it, anticipatory for the novel that's going to come out or something.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good event, and everybody had a good time, and it's good.
I think it's fun to hear writers reading their own work. That's really interesting to me.
I kind of hate doing it. What do you feel about it? I mean, I don't like.
I've never done it, and I don't know if I ever could.
I don't know. I get nervous, and I don't like it.
I thought you did a great job.
Yeah.
And I had no idea you're nervous.
I was nervous.
I didn't know it. And I remembered it because I was so excited to get this book, and I was like, I can't wait because I remember the beginning of this, and I was like, wait.
Yeah.
So, but
hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah. I know, that's a really interesting thing because I really liked that prologue.
So did I, but you sort of have to look at it how the editor is looking at it. So you're looking at it as a writer. You think it's pretty good. They're looking at it story-wise, okay? So they're looking at it as the whole arc of the thing goes. And after the fact, I could sort of see the point they were making, that it took maybe a chapter and a half before we got to the main character, Harriet, and her dilemma. So, I kind of gave it to them.
So is that suggestion that they take out the prologue, is that something you get like in that editorial letter from your editor? Or when do you get that news?
You hand the book in, you think it's great. They send you back 5-6 pages of not greatness. And you have to sort of then sort of negotiate what you're willing to change, what you're willing to sort of stand up for. And I sort of stood up for the prologue to a certain extent. And then I sort of read it again, sort of objectively or as much as I could. And I could see the point. So that's where the prologue came out. You have those little back and forths, and you sort of stick up for the stuff that you believe in, and you can sort of let the other stuff go if you can sort of see the point they're making. And, that's a negotiation. That's how you can sort of get the book done. So you do as much as you can. You take the feedback when it comes back to you, and then you sort of negotiate the finer points. So that's the process. And, prologue had to go, and prologue is sitting here in my file. Waiting for another creepy serial killer to come around.
So, listen, we're midway. Christie has a question for you, a random question we call the question in the bottle.
If you could only communicate by breaking into song, what genre or singer would you sound like?
Oh, no question. Broadway musical, anything.
Really?
Peters, Patti LuPone. That's my sweet spot. That's my music. I went all through my teen years, and just imagine everybody else is doing top 10. I'm in Broadway. Nobody knew who Elaine Stritch was. Nobody gave a crap. I'm in Bernadette Peters Road. That's me. I am Broadway. I'm a Broadway baby, and that would be my genre. So you can just see how cool I was at age 17 and 18. Everybody's going to the record store getting I don't know what, and I'm coming out of there with a copy of Brigadoon. I mean, this is just weird. But that's my life, Broadway.
Brigadoon. Oh, that's
Brigadoon.
So epic.
Oh, wow. Well, that is a good genre to have to narrate your life to, I think.
That's so funny.
What about you, Kathy?
I really loved for a long time, like Bette Midler, and James Taylor is my favorite, like the 70s stuff.
Yeah, James Taylor's good.
I still love that stuff. But I will say today, I just got tickets to Pink in concert. So I'm going to go with Pink today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that would be perfect narration.
Okay, so speaking of that, so Tracy, my segment of questions has to do with a concert because I'm embarrassed to tell you, I'm in South Dakota. I'm a Midwest neighbor. And I had never been to Chicago. I'm embarrassed to tell you. I don't know why. Horrifying.
Yeah.
And I took my daughters, who are 20 and 21, to Chicago in October for a concert. We went to the Harry Styles concert. And it was great. And it was our first time in Chicago. We were so excited. And the thing we were most excited about was to go to the museum and see on the lower level all of the miniatures, those miniature houses. Have you ever been? My daughters read a mid-grade series about that, like as if those were coming alive, and it was great. So we were all really excited to see that. The error that I made, we stayed downtown on Grant Park. The error that I made was I was so laid back about it. I was like, it's Chicago, we'll be fine. I'm not going to worry about anything. It was the weekend of the marathon.
No.
Yeah, it was.
No,
and
you didn't.
So, yeah, I did. And I did not realize that the entire downtown shut down.
Yep.
half of the marathon was staying at our hotel, like 140,000 people. And we needed to get to the airport to leave. And so I just thought, I'll get an Uber. I'll get a cab.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
Oh my gosh.
It was I have some of the craziest stories from that weekend, but I will tell you, I met some of the kindest, most lovely humans in my life that weekend, because I met this gentleman when I told him one of my daughters was kind of having a health emergency while they were getting set up on Saturday night during the concert. There's a whole thing. And he's like, so how are you getting to the airport tomorrow? And I was like, oh, I'll just Uber. And he's like, no, you won't. Just like Tracy, like, no. And so he spent 2 hours coming in to meet us blocks away and take us to the airport. The nicest, most kind humans in the world in Chicago. So anyway, I do love your city. I'm in love with it. So I want to talk about why Chicago weighs so heavily in your writing. I mean, have you ever considered anything else?
Not yet. I sort of write about Chicago because I live here and I know it. When you're starting out writing, it's difficult. It's hard. And that sort of learning a new place, a new setting, was hard on top of hard. So I just sort of wrote about the city that I knew best. I know where the sort of hookers hang out. I know where the crime areas are.
That's funny. That's the first thing. Yeah. I know where the hookers are. I'm like,
I know where they go. I know how the city smells. I know how it sounds. I know where the grit is. So that was one less thing I had to worry about. I had to worry about character development and pacing and all the rest of that stuff. I didn't want to have to worry about setting too. So I sort of wrote about the city that I know. And I think my secret to sort of writing about it, it's a big city. It's got multiple neighborhoods around here. I sort of write small. I write block by block, sometimes house by house. I think the smaller you take it, the more detailed you can get in terms of, how it feels, how it sounds, how it looks, the better off you are. So that's what I do. That's what I try to do. And of course, it sort of shines as another character because it kind of is. You have your characters who are sort of moving through the story, but you have your foundation and the city that they're moving through. So I sort of balance all the balls and try to get it all done and knock wood and hope I do it okay.
That's interesting that you said you take it, really small, because I think that is the key to not upsetting a million Chicago residents if you get something wrong,
Exactly.
Look, there's Tracy.
Because, in a small town, you're like, okay, I can upset a handful of people, but, if I don't get something exactly right. But if I'm writing in a city, then I've got to either be real true to things or, like you said, go real small and then be like, okay, well, that's not your house, so you don't tell me.
Don't worry about it. What are you talking about?
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about this, but when we talk to a lot of writers who create fictional places that's similar, but usually they're smaller towns. Mm-hmm. Like no one's creating a fictional Chicago that I can think of, right, Christie?
Well, every location in these books are real. I just sort of change the names if I have to. But every diner is there. Every place I dump a body is real. That dumpster in that alley under Lower Wacker is there. It smells like sour milk.
Do you go to that site?
Of course I do. I mean, that's how I know it smells like sour milk and rotting cabbage. That's how I know. That's why I know that dumpster is there. That's how I know those streets go that way. I was down there walking one day coming from work when I was sort of working from there outside instead of home. And a sort of rat sort of crawled across my shoe tops. I mean, that happens in Chicago. It happened to me, gave me a panic, but that's going to end up in a book somewhere. But that's what Chicago is. So, it's real. It's real. It's absolutely.
Did you grow up in Chicago?
Yep. Born here, live here, probably die here.
I'm enamored with your city.
It's a fun city. It's a great city. Not at Marathon Sunday. Also not St. Patrick's Day. Do not come on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, good to know.
Well, knowing me, that's when I book my trip. But all right, Christie has a question for you. A final question.
We ask all our writers, which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
My all-time favorite characters, you would imagine it would be Cass or Harriet. It's Pouch in the first series, the little 4'2" pickpocket who dresses all in one color. He's got a fanny pack where he puts his loot. And every time he goes into Cass's apartment, he sort of steals something, unbeknownst to her. That's my guy. He showed up. He was just supposed to be for one scene and out, and I could not get rid of him. I didn't want him to go anywhere. So I would spend an evening, a dinner with Pouch.
And where would you go in Chicago?
I would go to the nearest hot dog stand because I wouldn't want to sort of be at a table with him because I've got a wallet on me and a purse and stuff. So, you know, somewhere outside, somewhere I can watch his hands. Hot dog stand.
Oh, that sounds good.
That's so great. Okay, so Tracy, when our listeners want to know more about you, where should they go?
Well, I've got a website, Tracy Clark Books. They can check me out there. I'm also on Twitter and Insta and Facebook. I'm sort of going there most of the days, wasting time where I should be writing. Check me out.
Great. Well, we're so thankful you joined us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's a lot of fun, and I guess all we can say now is cheers to success.
Cheers to Harriet.
To Harriet.
All right.
And Chicago.
Double lunch.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode.
Subscribe to our podcast on our website, gameofbookspodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you liked what you heard, you can give us a 5-star rating or review.
You can also subscribe on YouTube where you can watch and listen.
On gameofbookspodcast.com, you can find all the information about what we talked about on this episode. And you can sign up for our newsletter and enter our fun contests and giveaways.
We also post our stories and links on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Hope to see you there.
I can guarantee you that we had fun today.
And we hope you did too.
Cheers!